Hi, everybody. So I'd like to start with some advice. If you don't like Muslims, you should stay away from Phnom Penh. Because I live in Phnom Penh, and you sound like an asshole. So I was bit by a street dog not long ago, and when you've been bitten by a street dog here, other expats love to ask you about it. It's not because they're concerned, of course. They want to confirm for themselves that they never would have done whatever stupid-ass thing you obviously did to get bit. People are like, oh, a dog bit you? What were you doing? I was walking to an art exhibit. So they're like, oh, so like at 4 o'clock in the morning, like down a narrow alleyway lined with sleeping dogs? I'm like, no. Did you have maybe like a cat in one pocket? You know, not that you would do that. That would be stupid. But maybe you forgot a cat earlier in the day and then went to the art exhibit? No. So then this is my favorite one. They say, well, did you provoke it somehow? This is a question I get from people I've invited into my home. Did I provoke a street dog into sinking its teeth into my leg? So, of course, I'm like, no, I didn't provoke it. I mean, yeah, I rubbed bacon in its face with one hand and pulled the tail really hard with the other, but, you know, that's how I like my breakfast. I expected more tail wagging. So I was on my way to an art exhibit that day. I love art. It can drive me a little bit crazy that if you're a painter or a sculptor or, God forbid, a performance artist, you can get away with anything as long as you say the purpose of your work is to raise a question. Everyone can find their own answers. Why did I collect the shaved eyebrows of beekeepers and bake them into a muffin? I'm raising a question about the influence of social media on our lives. So I'm not going to say that I know what the purpose of art should be, okay? But artists, I think we're good for questions on Earth. We've got questions. We've got a lot of questions, okay? How are we going to feed 7.5 billion people? That's a question. Who's going to look after mom after her hip surgery? That red wax they put around Edam cheese, is it edible or not? And if not, why do they make it so delicious? Why can't we just spell February and Wednesday the way they sound? That's a question. You know? What are the hiccups? Where do they come from? From nowhere. Where do they go away? What is it, an allergy? Is it disease? This random spastic contraction of the lungs? For what? Caused by what? Cured by what? That's a question I have. So what I propose is, you know, art, you want this beautiful downtown space for your galleries. You want to be in textbooks. How about some answers? Okay? I'll lead the way. I'd like to announce that I'm unveiling a painting at Factory, which answers the question, why do men do a lot of dumb stuff? And the title of the painting is Life is Long and the Penis is Short. So as you may hear from my accent, I'm an American. Any Americans? Americans? Great. That's great. Great, so great. That's great. Great. When you're an American, everything is great. By law. What a lot of people don't know from other countries, they get confused because they don't know that that's great is just a noise we make to acknowledge that you've said something. Yeah, but really we are delusionally positive. Nobody is as delusionally positive as North Americans, I feel like. And everything has to be great. And if something bad happens, we have a huge portion of our brain dedicated to thinking of one even worse thing that could have happened. Make ourselves feel better. This is just slightly smaller than the other part of our brain, which tells us that your house isn't really safe if you have a handgun in the refrigerator. You also need one in the freezer. So it's very important, this defense mechanism. A friend of mine went ice skating with his kids and their grandmother, and the grandmother fell on the ice and hit her head so hard that she lost her sense of smell forever. My friend goes, oh, she was lucky. Lucky? She went out to make a magical Christmas memory with the grandkids, And now she's down to 4 senses permanently. You can keep that kind of luck. My friend goes, oh, it could have been worse. Okay, it could have been worse. But it could have been a lot better. She could have had hot chocolate with marshmallows instead of hot chocolate with a life-altering head wound. My friend goes, no, really, it could have been better. You know, that part of his brain working so hard to find a worse scenario. And he's like, imagine if Grandma had been skating closer to the speed of sound on the edge of a Himalayan cliff and fell then. I mean, we've all seen the YouTube videos, you know, her brain would have shot right out one nostril. It would have been way worse. We could find the bright side of Godzilla eating a busload of orphans. The Asians are like, oh my God, it's so horrible. And the Europeans are like, does this monster have no limits? Except for the Russians. The Russians are like, what is life? Black-hearted reptile leaves 19 children for snack time. Big surprise. And the Africans are like, this is the meaning of tragedy. And the North Americans are like, ah. Shame about the orphans, but could have been worse. Can you imagine if it had been a milk truck? Reptiles can't process dairy, you know. And then Godzilla would have been bloated and hungry. You think he's fussy now? Forget about it. And can you imagine the farts? I mean, nobody could be in downtown. They'd have to clear it out, except for my grandmother, but she's lucky. Thank you all.